And if you'll, I'd like to take you guys back to a time long ago in a city far, far away. We have Julie Silva here, the one and only, charming and eccentric as she is.
Very.
How are you doing, Julie?
Doing all right.
So Julie and I worked together at the A's and a little bit at the Sharks and Niners. A little bit.
Very little.
Before I retired from sports.
Yep.
So why don't you tell us about how it is now? Because this is going to be the last year at Oakland, right? This is the last time.
Yeah.
Are you coming with us to Sacramento? You going up?
That's going to depend on, honestly, that's going to depend on the pay.
Yeah.
Because right now in Oakland, we make commission. If the Kings are running it and they're only going to pay the hourly wage that I make when I work a Kings game, it's not going to be worth it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I talked about this with, maybe it was with the Bobs, but it's like you get kind of what you pay for in that. You know, you can have somebody that's on their phone, just like, hey, do you need any help? Hey, do you need any help? You know, one of those robots. Or you can have one of the seasoned vets that are on commission that are like, hey, we got the Hey, that's last year's model. Why don't you get over here? You know, like things like that, exactly. You know, and like actually engaging with the fans. Mm-hmm. And that's what you really lose that at all these new stadiums. You know, I mean, I feel like Giants was able to keep it only because the A's was there too. The A's were there too. You know, like if it was possible, I think the Giants may have just went hourly with what they, you know, within the stadium.
Probably.
You know, but with you guys, do you know anybody that's coming up to Sacramento from the A's?
I know Karen has talked to our boss at the Kings about it, but she's the only one that I know of so far that has even talked to anybody about it.
Everybody seems to kind of use it as an excuse to retire.
You know, not necessarily a bad idea for some of them. Yeah. You know, they're getting up there in years, and it's time for them to enjoy their life.
Yeah, I mean, some of them, this is the only job they've had.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're getting up to 80 years old. Started when they were like 14, 15.
Yep.
That's insane. That's absolutely unheard of. Yeah. Especially today.
Yes.
You know, and it's a shame to see it go, but I do hope that some of that sticks around. And, you know, it's kind of a bummer because going to a game at a River Cats game in the summer is a killer.
Well, I hear they're going to be doing also artificial turf. That's going to heat the field up more. And then you figure, like when we just had our heat wave and it was well over 100 degrees, that's going to be brutal on the players, let alone the fans.
I mean, well over 100. It was into the $120s.
Yeah.
You know, and it was not fun. I mean, you can't sit people in the sun like that for that long. I don't know how they would do it because there's not enough shade there.
No, I don't, you know, aside from the fact that he's getting free rent, that's about the only reason I can think of he would move up here. Fisher's a greedy jerk, so what can we say?
I mean, if you can't, that statement can't be any truer, but there's absolutely nothing anybody can do. And he seems to have found like a cheat code. You know, he found a cheat code and he can basically get away with murder. Not necessarily murder, but like, you know, he can get away with doing
everything.
He can use the team as his own personal piggy bank, you know, and there's nobody to stop him. The fans, you know, I mean, I don't understand the logic of having a new stadium. And like, I mean, I understand his logic, money, but I don't understand the reasoning of why he was able to do that because you can't even put 3,000 asses in the seats in any game.
Right.
You know, unless the Yankees or Giants or maybe the Red Sox are in town.
Or maybe a weekend with a giveaway since they started doing bobbleheads again.
Or perhaps Star Wars Day.
True. We had a good amount of fans for Star Wars Day.
You know, and that's one thing that is great about, you know, the sports in the summer is that they have that Star Wars Day.
Well, they have all sorts of fun days, but of course, Star Wars my day, so.
You know, they don't really have a Star Trek Day. What's up with that?
No clue, but I'm okay with it.
Are you only Star Wars?
Well, I like some Star Trek stuff, but I'm just huge into Star Wars, so. I will watch Star Trek. I won't, like, beat it down, but I also won't go and buy, like, the collectibles like I have now with Star Wars or the books and stuff like that.
Yeah, I could see that. I'm the same way, but like I would rather binge watch Star Trek than Star Wars a lot.
Sometimes for me, it depends on my mood. I want to actually test the theory of trying to be able to see how long I can stay up and watch all the movies, even the ones that people don't like, all the movies.
Well, I actually did that for, some people go out to a bar on their 21st birthday and get shit-faced. I had just moved up to Chico with a bunch of my friends, and I was like, I want to watch them all tonight. And back then, all of them was 6 episodes.
Right. Now there's 9. Plus, you've got Rogue One, you've got the Han Solo story, and then you've got all the different series thrown in there as well.
Right. And right now you have to, which I didn't do back then, you have to incorporate the Clone Wars series, Rebels, and what's the other one? Resistance?
There's Bad Batch.
Oh, the Bad Batch. That's right.
There's also a set of shorts.
Yeah,
that Disney did.
Yeah, kind of like the backstory. I think one was Count Dooku, and one was I think Yaddle, right?
Yeah, and then there's the original animated Clone Wars series that Cartoon Network did way back in the early 2000s. I think it was like 2005, 2006. Oh, there's those too.
Speaking of that, so I see that you have Grogu on the top of your head. However, people call him Baby Yoda.
True.
Why not Baby Yaddle? Why not Baby Yaddle? Is it because Star Wars fans are sexist? And why are they sexist?
I think it's more because he looks like Yoda than Yaddle. Yaddle still has a little bit of a different look from Yoda, and Grogu kind of resembles Yoda more than Yaddle. That's what I think.
Maybe because Yaddle had red hair, and she was maybe seen as a ginger.
Probably. Who knows?
Yoda had the receding. He had kind of like the George Costanza for, for the Clone Wars at least.
Yeah.
He lost it all when he went crazy and went to Dagobah. But
yeah,
I just, I remember because I have a book, an old Star Wars book that had all the characters in it. Mm-hmm. And it shows what the character's name is, basically even like height, weight, and race.
That was the essential guide to characters.
Exactly. I have that, right? And in there, under Yoda's species, it says Will.
I'm going to have to double check that in mine.
It's like WHIL. I think there's 2 L's, but there may be 1.
I'm going to have to check that. Because, see, I have both the original guide to characters that came out, essential guide to characters, and then after the prequel trilogy came out, they did a whole new series of all those books.
Oh.
And they called them the new essential guide. And in that one, Yoda's species is listed as unknown.
Right. I've heard him called tridactyl too, because of the three fingers and 3 toes. And I just it had a name at one point. And I think George Lucas, if I remember correctly, he was originally going to make it so that was the point of view. It was a story being told by the Wills.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I don't know, but don't let Kathleen Kennedy name him.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. There are so many people that can't stand her.
And because I also, I don't know if you are a South Park fan as well, but I watched the Pandaverse one where Kathleen Kennedy was hiding under Cartman's bed and.
Oh, I'm going to have to find that one because I haven't seen that.
Oh, you got to see that one.
I'm going to have to find that one.
We just got Paramount Plus. And it's
I have that. I'll have to watch that.
The Paramount Plus app is absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
I think that's because they were probably trying to wait for somebody to buy them out and nobody ever did.
Right.
But, go fix it because it takes every episode is like a 30-second buffer time, and it ain't like that with Netflix or anything else. And it's a bummer, but South Park's on there. Check it out.
I'll have to look at that.
It's like a 50-minute long movie kind of thing.
I'll have to watch that one.
But yeah, you gotta.
Because I know a lot of people that can't stand her, so
yeah,
that'll be interesting to watch.
I mean, at this point, I think it's a hefty percentage of the fandom. Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm hearing, I haven't watched it yet, but I'm hearing that the Acolyte, the newest series, is just horrible.
I've heard that too, and
that's what I'm hearing.
So my friend Justin, shout out to Justin. He's the guy that helped with the theme song, actually. But he sent me this this meme, right? And it was Darth Vader reaching out to Luke, and it was like, let me show you the power of one, the power of two, the power of many. You know, and it's like, that is so cheesy.
Yeah.
You made it so cheesy, and it's like, all the cartoons were good.
They are.
You know, like, I don't know if there's any bad cartoons. I watched them all, start to finish, and they were great.
Yeah.
But, and Rogue One, great. The Solo
that was
Story.
An excellent movie.
The Solo Story, I thought it was, okay.
I watched it in theaters, and I've only watched it maybe twice on DVD, and I only own it on DVD just because it's part of the universe.
Yeah.
To go with all my others. But do I watch it? No.
Yeah, that's the one that sits in the corner. Yeah, that's.
Yep.
And it's just, it just doesn't fit very well.
No, and it didn't, to me. See, this is where I feel like Disney screwed things up, because there was already all of these books and everything that had been written. It was called the Expanded Universe.
Yeah, can we get a little love for Shadows of the Empire? For Dash Rendar?
Right.
He gave his life.
Exactly. And there's all these stories that were told, like from before episode 1 all the way to 30 years beyond Return of the Jedi. Mm-hmm. And Disney took all of that and literally just washed it away and said, that's a Legend series. That's not going to be canon. But for people like me, who have been into Star Wars since before Disney had ever bought it.
Yeah.
We read how Han Solo and Chewie met. Mm-hmm. They touched on it. They did it in the movie, where it's true. He did save him from being a slave of the Empire. But the way that they portrayed it was not the way it was written in books.
Right.
And that really irritated me, because it's like, this was when Disney was just starting to make new Star Wars movies. And sure, I know you want to have your own spin on it, but come on, you've got millions of fans that know these stories inside and out because they've read these books more than once. Mm-hmm. And you just changed it. You
just basically pulled a Fisher on them and just shat on all the fans.
Mm-hmm. And in some ways.
And it's tough, right? Because the movies started to get progressively worse. The shows started to get progressively worse. You know, like The Mandalorian, I would wait till that. I would wait for that episode to come out and watch it. And me and my wife would sit down and watch it together. And it was so good. You know, they killed it. It was a great show. Then the guy started to not be on the show, right? The main guy, what was his name? He was Din Djarin, but I remember the guy who played him, because he was doing
I know, all of a sudden his name just flew by me, and it's like I have an image of him, but I can't think. All of a sudden, I can't. Pedro Pascal.
Yeah. So he just was like, I'm too busy to do this show. You're too busy to do this show. What could you possibly be doing? I guess.
Right.
You know, but I guess he's doing another
He's been doing a few other shows.
Yeah, like a video game show, a show based on video game. I forget what it's called. I think it's The Last of Us.
Yes.
But, you know, the fandom for Star Wars is, it basically supersedes most other fandoms.
We're passionate.
You know, and more, and the possibility to be more toxic and venomous if you screw around with them.
A lot of fans are. I try not to be like that. I try to look at everything with an open mind. So it's like, I understand that now that he's gotten more popular because of having done The Mandalorian, he's doing other things. But it's like, at the same time, my brain is like, come on, dude. You know, if nothing else, we know it's going to be ending soon. Let's finish it out on a high note and get your butt in there and do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And the whole, Episode 7, I thought was okay until they killed off Han Solo, and it broke my heart.
Oh my God, I couldn't breathe for 5 minutes in the movie theater when that happened. I just sat there and literally stopped breathing, and I was like, what? And then it was his own son?
Yeah, and I was like, he's going to come back though, right? Right?
That's what I was hoping.
Never did. He came back in 19-year-old form, and it was not good.
No.
Not a good look. You know, nobody can play Han Solo except for Harrison Ford.
Exactly.
You know,
100% agree.
And nobody can really play any of those three characters, Han, Luke, or Leia, except for them.
Yep.
So, you know, like the Kenobi series where they had young Luke and young Leia. Leia was annoying as hell.
Now, see, I kind of liked her just because she was feisty.
She was, but it was not the same kind of feisty as
Adult
Princess Leia. Yeah. It wasn't like I'm feisty, but with authority and the know-how.
Right. But she didn't have that authority and know-how quite then yet either, because she's only like 9 years old.
And she didn't have no business being that feisty.
But I did like the girl who played her. I thought she was really super cute too.
What about young Luke?
He was all right. You didn't really see much of him, so I didn't, pay too much attention. It would have been nice though if they'd have had like maybe somebody from their families play these roles, because they would look more like the original characters that played them.
Well, like
if they could have.
In that I think it was season 2 finale of The Mandalorian, when they had Luke come in, they had that Marvel guy play him, and that sold me. I was like, that looks just like him, and it doesn't look CGI really.
No, and that was a badass seeing him coming in with the really X-wing, and I was like, I was sitting watching that, and I was like, I saw the X-wing coming, and I was like, oh my God. Mm-hmm. I got super excited. In fact, the picture that's on my watch is actually from that episode where R2 sees Grogu for the first time. And he's being, Luke, Mando is telling Grogu, go with them. They'll take care of you. They'll train you, and when I saw that, I really like it. You couldn't tell that it was CGI. It was done so well.
Yeah, it really was. It was done a lot better than they did with Leia in Rogue One.
Yes.
A lot better.
Yes.
But at the same time, I mean, he wasn't related to him. They just found a pretty good lookalike.
Yeah.
Pretty damn good.
Yeah.
And they could have done something with the face in Han Solo, in the Han Solo movie, but that is kind of risky to do it when you have that main character and it's on screen for so long.
Yeah.
A cameo, you can really get away with it and really sell it.
Right.
Yeah,
But I will have to say, when I was watching Solo and you hear Lando before you see him, Donald Glover had the voice down pat.
Oh, Donald Glover killed it at Lando.
He had, for a minute there, I really did think it was Billy D. Williams.
Yeah.
Until you saw him. And then, I mean, you could tell, that it was Lando, obviously.
Yeah.
Because they really made him look a lot like Billy D. Williams when he was younger. Mm-hmm. They did an excellent job with that. But it was, still when it came in, you could tell it was a different person, but it really threw you off at first because it sounded so much like him. Like he had that down. I think he was the best part of the whole movie.
And he got the mannerisms down too. Mm-hmm. Like he got the mannerisms, how he talks, how he sounds. And like Donald Glover is not to be trifled with. He's actually really good.
Yeah, I've heard about him in other things. And everybody says he's a great actor.
Yeah.
But he had that down pat. I think he was the best part of that movie.
Yeah, I think that it could have done completely without the that girl character.
Yeah, they kind of took that, which again, I didn't understand why they did things the way they did. There's a trilogy called the Han Solo trilogy that was originally done, again, long before Disney took it over. And there was a woman character that he was in love with. And I think that's what they were basing her off of, but they didn't do a good job with it. Because the trilogy, I mean, you're talking 300-page books, 900 pages. She doesn't appear in obviously every single page, but she's a big part of the story, but not quite the way they told it. So it's been a while since I've read those books, but the way that they told it in the books was just more entertaining and made her a central part of the story without making her look like a bad person.
Right, which she was.
Yeah. They made her a bad person in the movie to where in the book she wasn't.
It was also a good excuse to add like Darth Maul in at the end with, like paraplegic Darth Maul, and I think that was, they really, I think, wanted to do more with that afterwards, but the reception that the Solo movie got was
not
terrible.
It was.
And like, they just seem to like they scrap things that they're trying to build on. They scrap it, they start over again, and it makes it so you lose continuity. It makes it so like the story kind of is stitched together. And not to mention, you had all the stories written for you. All you had to do was film it.
Yep.
All you had to do was film it. You could literally, you had the stories written, basically an endless supply.
Yep.
Right? Because how long do you think it would take them to film all those stories? A long ass time.
Oh, yeah.
And they decided to throw it all out.
And go their own way.
Like, oh no, we know better than George Lucas does.
Yeah.
And now he's upset.
Yes.
This is his baby. And it's like,
he literally created this whole thing.
Yeah.
And to see it go the way it's gone, I feel for him. Because he didn't think that this was what was going to happen when he decided to sell it to Disney to retire. He did not think this is what was going to happen.
Right. And he, it wasn't just something he created. It was something that he originally took a huge risk on.
Yes.
Because this was not a genre, really. Like, this was not, this was kind of a one-off film.
Yep.
And you got Alec Guinness to do it.
Yep.
Somehow you did.
And he was leery about doing it, but he was like, okay, he keeps asking. Okay, fine, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And it paid off.
Mm-hmm. And it gave credence. It gave kind of some credence to like to the movie, so that people would actually go see it. Oh, he's legitimate. So it must not be a piece of shit movie.
Yep. And sure enough, it wasn't.
Yeah. And I can't imagine, like, he's seeing this and it's like, you've massacred my boy,
right?
Like,
I mean, I do like watching the newer trilogy. I'm not going to say I don't enjoy watching it because it's Star Wars. I'm going to, watch it at least every once in a while. Mm-hmm. I love the fact that they came out with a new droid. BB-8 was super cute.
Right.
I loved that. Mm-hmm. I mean, they kind of were trying to base him off of R2, which I think was a little too much.
Well,
but at the same time, they needed a newer version, I guess.
Yeah, because it was not quite an Astro droid, right? Because there's R2 style droids with the dome, and then there's the R5 ones with like the kind of like
the
more angular,
round but triangular heads.
Yeah, I mean, they just kind of like, droids need diversity too.
Yes. I mean, I love BB-8. Don't get me wrong. I've got this gigantic, in fact, Roger, who I work with at the Ace, got it for me. It was back in, what was it, 2017, 28? No, earlier than that. 2016. When Target had for Christmas the big BB-8 display inside the store and the head moved.
Oh, really?
He got me that.
Oh, really?
I have that in my storage.
Damn.
And it's like, it sits literally from the floor to the top of this table.
That's like 3 times BB-8's actual size.
So, I mean, it's like, it's one of my coolest things that I have. Like, I'm so grateful that he was able to pull it off and get that for me, But, so I love BB-8. So, but I also felt like with the way they did these movies, it was just a retelling of the original trilogy.
Yeah, it
as
really was.
As opposed to just moving forward.
Yeah, it really was. And, I mean, it's far-fetched, right? Like the second episode, all of a sudden, they introduced fuel.
Yeah.
Like that they could run out of gas?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. And you never saw that in the original trilogy. You never really read about that in any of the books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're telling me they could run? I've never seen them fill up.
Exactly. Exactly. You never see that,
I've never even seen like, what's the gas industry like? Because that's a thing. I mean, we talk about the drug industry in Star Wars, not the petrol industry.
And then they make you start thinking.
Yeah, and it's like, well, what the hell? Like, and then all of a sudden, this purple-haired lady comes in, and she knows.
Yeah.
And Leia can breathe in space.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, they did a few things that were a little far-fetched. I was like, okay.
And the decision to like bring a new director in for each one? Why?
Yeah.
Why?
That definitely messed up with continuity. Straight up, having different directors for each one.
I mean, you should have just had Jon Favreau do all of them.
Yes. I could not agree more because he is fabulous.
Yeah, he
is
really
awesome.
like, if Disney didn't have him, Star Wars would be total shit.
Him and Dave Filoni.
Yeah,
if
Dave
they didn't
Filoni.
have either of them,
Yeah. Well, Dave Filoni was a writer on the Clone Wars, right?
yes, on the original before Disney bought it.
And then Jon Favreau was the voice of
Couple of characters.
Pre Vizsla, right?
Yeah.
The Mandalorian guy with the dark saber.
Yeah, he voiced several characters actually, and then helped come in and produce and write and everything.
He had to.
So.
Did you see in the Mandalorian where he voiced not Pre Vizsla but Paz Vizsla? Like the Mandalorian had like the chain gun, the big Mandalorian guy that had like
I know who you're talking about.
the
Yeah,
armored one. And then midway through, I guess they had to switch it to somebody else's voice because they were going to have him take off his helmet and didn't want it to be like Jon Favreau there. You know,
See, that would be cool though. We would get a kick out of that.
I would, yeah, but I don't.
We would enjoy that.
But I don't think Jon Favreau's shape is that shape anymore. You know, like
Probably not. But
you'd have to go through some rigorous training. Probably lots of Ozempic.
yeah, no kidding. Huh?
You know, but yeah, it would be cool. I mean,
It would.
I'd love that. But
Oh yeah.
you know, it's a shame. It just really is a shame. And I don't know what they're gonna do. They're talking about retconning now the last trilogy, you know, to make it so that it's like so Luke isn't so shitty, you know, like
That's almost like they're trying to go back to what the original books were in a sense.
well, I'm hoping, yeah, because they seem to be finding success when they move to the books, right? Like when you introduce Grand Admiral Thrawn, and which was a good pick, I thought, for the actor, you know, and he talked just like he did, and it was like, oh yeah, there really are no aliens in the Empire. What's up with that?
Yep.
Nobody ever thought of that.
He came out in a series of books, and it was the first set of books that was ever written after the original trilogy. And they were written by Timothy Zahn, and it's called the Thrawn Trilogy. Because it takes place 5 years after the Empire is gone. And Thrawn has taken over this. So it was interesting to see that Disney was actually willing to go back to something like that was done and written long before they had ever taken over and picked that character. I was really surprised to see that they did that.
Yeah, and the introduction of kind of like the whole Rebels crew, you know, that was also I actually liked that.
I did too.
But I didn't like in Ahsoka where all of a sudden Sabine is a Jedi now or can use the Force. It's like, it doesn't seem right.
Yeah, I haven't finished that whole series yet. I've watched about 5 episodes. And I kind of got a little disenchanted with it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why I haven't really finished it yet, is because all of a sudden she's able to use, or trying to use, the Force and trying to learn with the lightsaber and everything. And I'm like, I don't remember her having any Force tendencies in the animated series.
There was zero.
There was none.
Yeah, and Mandalorians traditionally don't use the Force. You know, there was just the one. I forget what his name is, but he used the one with the dark saber.
Yep.
You know, and like that's they're opposites.
Yep.
You know, they I think fought a war.
Yeah.
And it's just it's very, it seems very disingenuous of them to add it in like that. Like all of a sudden anybody can use the Force.
Yeah.
And it makes
that's
it less special.
And that's kind of what they're making it. They did that with the first movie of this new trilogy. All of a sudden, Rey can use the Force. And then next thing you know, not Poe. Oh my God, all of a sudden I can't think of the name.
Oh, Finn. Yeah, Finn.
Finn's using the Force and wielding a lightsaber and fighting against Kylo Ren. And it's like, you got way too many people that aren't even supposed to be Force sensitive that are doing this. Mm-hmm. It was an overload. in a sense to me. Now I understood like the Rey and the way they did that in a sense. Like I understand her being able to use the Force. But then when you start adding all these other people in, it's like, wait, you're going too far now. You're adding too many people and you're overloading it when there's not supposed to be this many people that can use the Force.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell?
Yeah, I thought we were testing for midichlorians. I haven't heard that word at all.
No, not at all in that series.
Not one bit. And I think that was kind of something that, like, maybe George Lucas should not have put in the first one, because then it's like you kind of have a quantitative way to test if a Jedi. Like, that's odd, you know? Like, oh, so there's actually something in there in your blood, right, that makes you be able to use the Force.
Right.
And so that was kind of... I think he may have regretted putting that in too. Right.
In a way, maybe, yeah.
But I think the new trilogy's actually vindicated a lot of the hate that the prequel trilogies have gotten.
Big time. Because when, just a couple months ago, when it was becoming the 25th anniversary for Phantom Menace, and I'm looking at my Star Wars groups on Facebook and everything, everybody's raving about Phantom Menace. Oh, I'm going to go see it. I haven't seen it in theater, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, you guys were the haters to begin with. Mm-hmm. Now this new trilogy has come out and you don't like it, so now you love this. It's like maybe you should have stopped and thought about it to begin with.
You know, I read something that's really interesting about the prequel trilogy, specifically Jar Jar Binks. I'm not going to talk about the Darth Jar Jar thing, but I heard that they had Michael Jackson that was going to be Jar Jar Binks, but he did not want to do CGI. He wanted to do makeup only.
That would have been difficult.
And he, it would have been difficult to do, right? But and then you could see there's like a video of him with the stuff on, like doing Michael Jackson moves with it.
Interesting. I'm going to have to look for that one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like in this day and age, it could be deep fake or AI or whatever. But I mean, it looked real enough to me, and that was wild. Like, I would have loved to see.
That would have been interesting.
You know what he could have done with Jar Jar Binks. I would have not hated Jar Jar Binks nearly as much as I did if it was Michael Jackson.
See, I didn't really hate Jar Jar Binks. I felt like it could have been done a little better, but I never hated him. It
was a lazy comic relief. It was a slapstick comic relief, and I think maybe George Lucas was a big fan of the Three Stooges.
Yeah,
you know?
He was.
And going back and watching them, you can kind of appreciate that kind of comedy and humor, but that's not today's humor.
Yeah. Well, I did like Ahmad Best, who played Jar Jar Binks.
Oh, yeah.
I felt like he got way too much shit for the role.
Didn't he get, he had some kind of an issue from that, right? Like mental problems.
Yeah, he actually kind of got, from what I heard, he was being treated for depression. He stepped back out of acting for a while because he was so typecast in that role because of the way the fans treated him that he didn't want to do anything for a while. But he came back and he started doing other things. Like he's actually been in some of the more current series.
Yeah, I've seen, he's been in, what was the last one before The Acolyte? Was it?
It's either Obi-Wan or Ahsoka. I think he was in Obi-Wan. I just can't remember what he did what it was, but he was in that. And I saw him and I was like, oh, wow. Nice to see him back.
Yeah, but that's kind of over the top, right? Because you didn't even see the guy's face.
Yeah, I felt it was wrong of the fans for taking it out on him personally. Mm-hmm. You know, you didn't see his face. You know, it was all either a headdress or CGI. Mm-hmm. Why are you going to take it out on the actor that's playing the role? They're just doing what they're being told to do.
Yeah, he was told to be annoying as hell.
Yeah.
And he was annoying as hell. Yeah. You know, and he did it. Mission accomplished. Unfortunately,
it backfired.
Yeah. I mean, that really is too bad. You know, I mean,
it is.
He did a killer job.
Yeah.
But nobody liked it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just, that really is too bad.
Yeah, because he took the flack for it, not the character. The flack should have all gone to the character, not the person playing the character.
Yeah, I mean, it should have gone to George Lucas because he created it. I mean, you got to take the good with the bad.
Yep.
You know, he did a lot of good, but midichlorians and Jar Jar, you know.
Yeah. But I have to admit, I loved seeing Liam Neeson as Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yeah.
That was awesome. And then he came back as a Force ghost at the end of Kenobi.
Yeah.
Which was really cool to see too, because I really liked the way he portrayed that character.
He was supposed to be one of the first ones to be able to come back as a Force ghost, right?
Yes.
He was supposed to be the one to discover that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Man.
So,
I liked Ewan McGregor too as Obi-Wan.
Oh, God,
and it's weird that him and his wife are in Star Wars now, right?
and his daughter.
His daughter? Where is she?
She played, I think it was the either second or third episode in Kenobi, the planet that Obi-Wan and Princess Leia land on when they're outcasts and he's trying to get her home. She plays a drug dealer. She's like one of the first people he talks to on the planet.
That's Obi-Wan's son and the woman that he left for her then. Didn't he leave that? Didn't he leave her?
No, this was his actual daughter.
No. I mean, his daughter from the marriage before Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
No, I think it's the daughter from that marriage because she's only like 18 or something. I could have my years wrong, so I don't follow up on everybody's personal lives.
Oh, I do. I make it my business.
I mean, I don't follow on everything, so
I was sent here to judge. But what about when do you think we'll see any Shadows of the Empire stuff?
I don't know. I would like to see them do that Thrawn trilogy. Just completely film what was in those 3 books.
But they've already started stories with Thrawn, so
that's the bad
that
part.
It's just bastardized. If they go back to the books, it's just going to be a bastardized version of it.
Right. I would just like to see something new that's going to be better than what they did. I don't necessarily want to see J.J. Abrams directing or producing it.
Yeah, I don't want anybody that is like, oh, this is a great director, let's put him in. It doesn't work like that with Star Wars.
I really think if they're going to do a new trilogy, let Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau have it.
Yeah, let them have complete control.
Mm-hmm.
Because they care about stuff like continuity.
Yes.
And the Star Wars fans pay big attention to that. Just like Star Trek fans and Lord of the Rings fans.
Yep.
And, maybe you might say Harry Potter fans.
Oh, yeah. They pay attention to that, too.
But, you... Like the Ki-Adi-Mundi thing in Acolyte, when they had Ki-Adi-Mundi in there.
Oh, I'm going to have to watch that.
And he's supposed to be like... He ain't supposed to be like over 200 years old. They're supposed to die at 200, right? Or something like that.
Something like that.
And he's like, I think, what is it, hundreds of years in the past? And he, doesn't appear like that old or young. And it's like they added him in there just so remember him?
Yeah.
Remember this guy with the big thing on his head?
See, that's what it sounds like. And I don't always like that. It's like, don't throw a character in there just because you want to make sure people don't forget him.
Right.
If it's a memorable enough character, we're not going to forget him.
Yeah. What they did right in that aspect with Andor was Mon Mothma, when they added her in and gave her actually it was, a politician's life.
Yep.
I thought that was a good way to portray that and to add her in. But the other one, it's so hit or miss with Star Wars. It's so hit or miss.
It is. That's why, I haven't really watched The Acolyte yet because I'm like, I don't know about this one. I don't know about this. I should watch it just so that I can at least be able to judge it for myself.
Right. Because there's so much out there now that it's like, oh, they did this, they did this, they did this, that it really makes you not want to watch it. And it's almost like a labor now.
Yeah.
To watch it because you're probably going to be disappointed with it. Yeah.
I'd rather go back and watch all of the seasons of Clone Wars or Rebels or Obi-Wan.
Clone Wars was top.
Oh,
It was better than Rebels. It was better than Resistance. It's better than The Bad Batch. It was better than, everything. And, Tamura Morrison, that guy that played Jango Fett and all the clones.
I loved him.
That guy is killer in every role. Even Boba Fett. He was a good Boba Fett, but it was like they they watered it down in a way that it made him almost seem like a hero, and he's not.
No, he's like the total anti-hero.
Yeah, you need to make him a little more evil and a little bit more ruthless, not to bad guys.
Yeah.
You know, like not just to bad guys. So
everyone.
Yeah. And you know, I think it's really cool how he was able to like stay in and do all the clone stuff, and he basically plays billions of characters.
Yes.
And I really want to see him come back as like a live action. Well, maybe did he come back as like a live action Cody in anything past that, or a live action Rex or anything? Because
I don't remember off the top of my head.
You remember maybe this was in Rebels where like the old clones had like they were like old veterans and they had like the beards and stuff.
Yeah, that was Rebels.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, that's what they need to bring back. That's the kind of thing that's like, you know, you have to explore the aspect of being a clone. You know. You know,
they should have a series that's more around just the clones themselves.
Not Bad Batch. Yeah, because Bad Batch.
No, not Bad Batch. I'm talking about like that is more just around the clones telling their story from a little bit more from their point of view of the Clone Wars, maybe.
Yeah.
Than the point of view you got in the Clone Wars series. Yeah. Because you kind of got everybody's point of view in that. You know, you had Ahsoka's, you had Anakin, you had Obi-Wan's, you had Count Dooku, you had the clones, you had a little bit of everybody's. Mm-hmm. It would be kind of neat to see from just their perspective, even if it's just a short series of 5 episodes, to give you an idea of what their lives were like. Yeah, in a sense.
And the writing in there for a cartoon, it didn't need to go that hard, but it did. You know, like, especially when they accuse Ahsoka of, I forget what it was, treason or something, but then she's like, they're like, okay, we're sorry, we'll welcome you back. And she's like, I don't want to come back.
Nope. I remember she takes her beads off, hands them to Anakin, and walks away.
Yeah. Like that was...
I almost fell through my chair when I watched that.
Yeah. That was like a powerful moment.
I was like, Ahsoka left the Jedi Order? Oh my God, this was what she'd wanted like her whole life. Mm-hmm. And then, but I couldn't blame her either because she was betrayed.
Sure.
So why do you want to stick around that?
Well, I guess George Lucas was against the idea of Anakin having a Padawan at all, right?
It was never in the plans.
And there was there was a video game, like I think it was Power of the Force or something like that, where Vader had another apprentice. Mm-hmm. You know, and we didn't see that guy at all. I guess that's not canon, huh?
No, I don't think they really meant it to be canon. I think they meant it for people to just kind of take it and do what they wanted to do with it. But make their own version in a sense.
But they're starting to add like those guys in, right? Like Cal Kestis, that guy from...
Yeah, I've been reading that.
You know, and that's fine because they actually used a real actor in there, which I can get off on another tangent on why you shouldn't be using real actors in a video game, because you have to pay them a shitload, and it makes the video games more expensive. Yep. And it makes it so you have to create DLC after the fact just to pay for your initial expenses and to keep everybody employed. Yep. You know, that's a story for another time, everyone. Right. But you know, like the timeline of that, it came out after Disney bought it, so I would think it was somewhat canon, you know?
Well, I'd have to look into it more, but probably. I mean, it's a good possibility. So I do know, like with The Force Unleashed and The Force Unleashed 2, those were supposed to be a little bit of both. Supposed to be a little bit of canon and a little bit of the player's imagination and what they did with the characters. Oh. So.
Did you ever play Shadows of the Empire on Nintendo 64? You didn't?
I did not.
Oh.
I never had a Nintendo 64.
Julia, I've been going back and playing that, and it's like, it really is like, they did such a good job on that.
Oh, I can only imagine.
You know, because he's in the Battle of Hoth, and the story takes a completely different turn. Yeah. You don't hear about Han Solo, you don't hear about Luke. You meet up with them later on, but it's like you fight IG-88, Boba Fett, all these guys, and it's just
I guess I'll have to get me a Nintendo 64 and get the game.
And it's the flying levels are what get me, right? Like the space levels where you're flying the ships. That's what I love most about Star Wars.
I have issues with those on the Lego games though, but the Lego games are my favorite ones.
Oh yeah, those are good. But have you that's actually the flying parts. That's what I love most about the newer trilogies, is that they were able to do that and do it well, like with Black Squadron and the A-Wings and those new kind of like B-Wing thing and the V-Wing bombers and the E-Wings. And it's just, they did a really good job at that. Yeah. And, when they had the Hammerhead Corvette ram the Star Destroyer at the end of Rogue One, like that was like grittiness.
Yes.
And it needs more grittiness. Like, that's what I was talking about with the clone. If they were to do a show about clones, right? Make him have issues. Maybe he's got a drinking problem. Make it real.
Yes.
It's because they went through a lot of shit.
Yeah.
They saw millions of people that looked exactly like them get killed.
Exactly. That's
got to do something.
Yep. That's definitely going to mess with your head.
Yeah. And there was a game, I think it was Battlefront 2 for PlayStation 2, and it was all of the side. It was all on the side of the clones.
Yeah,
right?
I think it was. I didn't play it. My ex-husband had it. He played it. I watched him play it, but that's what it reminded me of, was definitely a lot of on the side of the clones.
And I like the ending level, you're at Hoth, right? Because that's the end of the game. That's like top of the Empire. That's when they were top of the top. And I remember this monologue, and it was like, because everyone has like a monologue read by Tamara Morrison in like the perspective of the clone, right?
Right.
And it was like, let's see if I can remember it. I think I can remember it like in my head. And it was, nobody ever complained about the cold on Hoth. We never felt it. Though we were blinded by blizzards, we could see the end of the Republic end of the rebellion in our blaster sights. Was it only a mirage? Perhaps. But on that day, on that planet, our blood boiled hot with dreams of victory, melting the ice that stood in our way. In his voice, of course.
Neat, though.
And it's like, that kind of perspective is what is needed. You make it real. You don't have to like add all these characters just because, we don't have anybody that's like this. We need somebody like this for no reason.
Right.
For no reason.
Yeah, don't add people for just no reason.
Yeah. And it just seems like that's what a lot of the Kathleen Kennedy business is in. And I don't know where this came from, because she worked on some killer movies.
Right.
Didn't she work on like E.T. and Back to the Future and Terminator 2 and like killer movies?
Yeah.
Like timeless classics.
Like, how do you go from working Back to the Future, which was an awesome trilogy, to working Star Wars and screwing that up?
Yeah. Especially when the stories are written for you. You just had to facilitate.
How do you mess this up?
Yeah, find a director. You've got the story. You have a storyline. You even have pictures of what they should look like.
Right.
It's just build the universe. You don't have to create your own. Go make another something else.
Yeah.
Go make something else. Go make Spaceballs or something. Don't screw up this universe.
But Spaceballs was good.
They're making a second one, and I don't know how I feel about that.
Is Rick Moranis coming back? That's the $1 million question.
Pretty much the only one that can, right?
Well, no.
Bill Pullman's still alive.
Bill Pullman. But who's going to be Barf?
Yeah, there's no John Candy.
John Candy.
John Candy's irreplaceable.
Agree.
And in just seeing him in any movie makes you laugh.
Oh, yeah.
The tiny cameo we had in Home Alone.
Yeah.
That was great. He
was good.
Polka band, for God's sakes. And I mean, I'm sure that they have to get maybe it'll be Barf's son or something.
Maybe.
I don't know, but.
And what about the princess? I mean, the girl that played her still alive.
Who is that?
Oh. She played on Melrose Place after that.
It wasn't the girl from the Labyrinth, was it?
No, I don't think so. She played on Melrose Place after she did Spaceballs. She played the character Jo. I just can't think of her real name. But the guy who played her father has passed away, Dick Van Patten.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he passed away. I think it's like been like 10 years now almost.
Wait, played her father on Spaceballs?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Mel Brooks is actually still alive, isn't he?
He is. He is. He's like 97 or 98, I think.
Jeez.
And he's still alive and kicking.
Who else was on there? I think that was basically the like
Joan Rivers played her droid. Played Princess Vespa's droid.
That's right. Oh yeah, that's right. That was a sassy droid.
Yes, that was Joan Rivers. So yeah, it's like, how are they going to do that? I don't know. I think they maybe should just leave the original alone. Just leave it as the original.
That doesn't make any money, Julie.
I know, but it's like, again, people that are fans of that stuff, sometimes remaking just doesn't work. How many movies have we seen lately that they've tried to redo or TV series that they've tried to revamp and they don't even last a season?
Well, it's mostly Disney. But you have you do have some. I mean, I don't know, because remember Boy Meets World and they made Girl Meets World? Mm-hmm. That was on Disney though too, I think. And it was okay, but that didn't really take off like everybody hoped. Same thing with Fuller House. I think that took off a little more.
And they tried to do a whole nother Doogie Howser too with a young girl in Hawaii.
Oh.
And I think that only ended up going 2 seasons at most.
Yeah. Are we out of stories? Do we not have any more? Because
seems like everything's being remade as opposed to there being something new.
Yeah. Well, can humans still think, or do we need AI now to do this for us?
Apparently, everybody seems to think we need AI to do everything.
It's like that's disappointing.
Yes, agreed.
And you could have just kept George. You could have kept George on as like a consultant at the very least.
Well, rumor has it he wants to take it back. I don't know how he could succeed with that, but that's things that I've been hearing too, that he's so disappointed he wouldn't mind taking it back.
Here's how he can succeed. He can keep talking about it. The fans will keep talking about it. They'll pressure Disney. Eventually the mouse has got to do something.
Yes.
Eventually you got to do something, and he will get brought back in some capacity. If he keeps
I hope so.
If he keeps being a squeaky wheel, he will get it. It
would be nice.
It's the only way that you can save it at this point. What haven't they tried? They tried the purple-haired lady. After you do that, there's nothing else.
Yeah.
The Jurassic Park lady, and so it's...
Yeah, I didn't like her character at all.
No.
Did not like her character.
It was combative just for the reason of being combative.
Yeah.
Like, you have no credibility. I've seen you for 5 minutes, and now you're saying that you're in control?
Yeah.
Leia's out there in space. She's swimming back now.
Yeah.
Isn't she supposed to be in control?
Right? Exactly.
She didn't die.
No.
You could have killed her off then. Mm-hmm. And you should have.
Considering she had already passed away in real life. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you really could have, because it didn't get released until after she passed.
Exactly.
And that was because they each basically got their own episode, right? The first one was Harrison Ford's episode. The second was Mark Hamill's episode, and the third was supposed to be hers. Yeah. Well, you should have seen that she was in the least best health out of all 3 of them. And you should have given her own episode first. Yeah. We invited her to our wedding.
Oh, neat.
She didn't come. We invited her and Buzz Aldrin. No shows.
Oh, well.
Didn't even get the RSVP back.
You put the effort out there, though, at least.
Yeah, well, I didn't even get the gift from the cheap bastards, So.
That's okay. I was fortunate one year, though, and I actually got the pleasure of meeting Dave Filoni and one of George Lucas's daughters. So that was kind of cool. Yeah.
Did Dave Filoni have his hat on?
Always.
Yeah.
Always. It was really weird. I don't even remember how I got the email, but I got an email about a 3-episode story arc that George Lucas's daughter had written. It was Katie that wrote it. And it was being shown at the headquarters. And this was back before Disney owned Star Wars. And somehow I was able to get it to where I could get 2 tickets to go. So me and my ex-husband, we went. It was at the Presidio. We go there. I have to use the restroom. And I'm like, are they open? Will they let us go in yet? Because there's like this long line of people waiting to go in. And it was literally by invite only. You had to have the invite from the email and have signed up for this in order to even get in, because they had your name on a list at the parking garage. So I go to the doors and I'm like, need to use the restroom. Am I good to go in? They're like, yeah, sure. This is where it's at. Right next to the restroom is where Dave Filoni's standing. And I'm like, oh, shit.
He had to go
He's
too.
right there. No, he was talking to someone.
Oh.
It's like to go into the restrooms, you had to go down like a little hallway. And he was at the end of that hallway. And I'm like, oh my God. So I come back outside and I said to my ex, I was like, oh my God, Dave Filoni's was standing right there. He's like, I tried to tell you that when I came out. He goes, but you were too busy trying to read your book. Because I had taken a book with me.
You're reading your book with what?
I was reading a Star Wars book while we were in line just till we got in. Till we could get in and get seated to watch this.
You're supposed to be soaking it all in.
Oh, I was. Trust me. In fact, before that had even happened, I'm sitting on the Yoda fountain reading my book, and one of the members of the 501st, dressed as Captain Rex, comes over to me because it's getting dark, because this was December, turns the lights on his helmet, and bends over so I had light to read by.
What? Oh, what a gentleman.
It was me. And it was so funny because my ex had been like, don't take a book in with you, don't take something with you, you're not going to need it, da-da-da-da-da. Well, I did end up needing something to do while we were waiting. I mean, we had 2 hours to wait till we got in. And it was good. I took that book.
You get it signed?
Twice.
By Dave Filoni?
Dave Filoni signed it, and George Lucas's daughter signed it.
Oh, nice.
And
now you can't read that anymore because you'll crease the pages.
Well, fortunately, I have a hardback version of it, so that's okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, read the hardback only.
Yeah. I have a first edition hardback of that, so it's okay.
Freeze that one in carbonite.
So the paperback, it's literally in a plastic bag, all protected and everything. It's like nobody can touch that now. But when after the show was done and we walked outside in the hallway, there's Dave Filoni. Of course, what's the one thing I don't have with me is a pen. Fortunately, somebody next to me did. I was like, can I please borrow your Sharpie? They're like, absolutely. Literally in 30 seconds, Dave Filoni not only signed the book, but drew Asajj Ventress.
Really?
Mm-hmm. He actually drew Asajj Ventress under his signature.
Does he do the illustrations?
He has done some, yes.
Oh, shit.
So he drew her in 30 seconds, look just like her in the Clone Wars. Just like her.
Wow, that's cool.
And so then while we're standing there, George's daughter, Katie, she was standing there and she's talking to people, they're talking to her about the story, because it was the Night Sisters trilogy that came out in season 3. Mm-hmm. And everybody's telling her how much they like it and everything. So, of course, I hang around. I'm going to try, doesn't hurt to try. And I asked her if she would, give me your autograph. And she sees what I have, that it's a Star Wars novel. And it's Labyrinth of Evil. And it takes place, it's part of the Legend series now. But it takes place literally directly before episode 3. It's a story that takes place between episodes 2 and 3.
A lot of stuff happens during that period.
And it literally leads you right up to the kidnapping of Palpatine. And then episode 3 literally picks it up at that kidnapping, where he's already in Grievous's ship and everything. But it leads you right to that point. So she goes ahead and she signs my book, and she starts asking me about my book. What's it about? I haven't really read any of the novels. Do you have a recommendation on where I should start? We had a 15-minute conversation about Star Wars novels. It was just...
Can't beat it.
Blew my mind.
Can't beat it.
That was one of my best moments as a Star Wars fan. Literally one of my best moments.
Jeez. You mentioned the 501st. So my wife, up until recently, she worked at the Capitol. She has a new job now, but and so on May the 4th, the 501st would come at the Capitol, and they'd be in the rotunda, and
neat.
You could go and get pictures, right? And so she did, and my wife she's you've met her, she's 6'3", she's really tall, and so they asked her, they were like, "Would you like to join? We need a Captain Phasma."
Oh, I didn't think about that. Yeah.
So she was like, oh, yes, absolutely. And so they asked her to join. And so she's like, hey, come down here. The 501st is here, right? So I'm like, oh shit. And I like talked to my coworkers. I was like, hey, go to lunch. Bye.
Right.
And so
See ya.
I go over there and I'm like, at first I have the idea that I'm going to dress up too.
Oh no.
So I go over there. I'm dressed in Star Trek. Right? I have my Star Trek uniform on. And, I've got my beard and everything, and I've got the 3 pips, so it's like, that's Commander Riker. Mm-hmm. And so I'm there, I go there, and everybody loses their shit.
I can imagine. Like, I could just see that.
Like, the clones are like, you're under arrest, right? And, I got a bunch of pictures with them and everything, but, we got married on May the 4th.
Oh, nice. Oh, so, that's awesome. Yeah,
and our vows, like, we had, like, these elaborate vows that we were going to say to each other, but, we just forgot.
You get tongue-tied because you're nervous, yeah.
Well, you get right up there and you're like, plan B. And she's like, plan B. And so she was like, I love you. I know.
There you go, though.
That was plan B, you know?
Yep. If I ever get married again, I definitely want a Star Wars wedding. Yeah. That's for sure.
Gotta do it.
Gotta have that.
Gotta.
Not doing the quick little thing again. No.
Yeah.
But that's a big if. Right now, I'm good on my own. Thank you much.
Yeah.
I'm good because I get to buy all my Star Wars stuff. I got my cats. I'm good.
But do you know about the power of one? The power of two? The power of many.
I'm good though. I just like being me now. So I will say that. I like being on my own a bit. So
fair enough.
Because I get to go to movies. I can go watch my Star Wars movies. I don't have to run home from work right away. If I want to go to a movie, I'm okay with it.
There you go.
So, and then plus I don't get yelled at for getting Star Wars stuff. Because I used to get yelled at a lot for that.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, hell nah.
Yeah. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, we wouldn't yell at each other for getting Star Wars stuff. You'd be like, well, now we have to get this then too. You know?
Yeah. And there's so much out there. Oh my God.
There really is.
I have to pick and choose now.
It's a little bit of an overload. It's a little saturated right now.
Yeah. The only things that I don't really pick and choose of are my books. I will buy all the books so that I can read them.
Oh, yeah.
And I just keep my Legend series separate from the newer versions since Disney bought it.
Yeah.
That's how I do that. Just keep them separate.
So we got to do, All right, Julie. Well, it has been a pleasure.
Yes, definitely.
We'll have to do this again.
Yes.
And if you're going to be in Sacramento at the A's, let me know.
I will.
We'll be by.
I will.
On a cooler day.
Yes. On like a very early March day or something where it's like maybe 60 degrees.
Thank you for coming by for a very sweaty episode of Caught in the Moment.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it. I was getting kind of excited. So this was good.
There you go.
This was fun.
We'll do it again.
Yes.
All right.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Julie.
Thank you, Josh.